Hello friends. There is a lot of talk about de-dollarization and demise of US dollar. A section of market believe that dollar-denominated monetary system will be taken over by China. In this video, we try to put across facts about US dollar and other alternative mechanisms. So, let's begin with our topic, US dollar's brief history and its present status. US dollar was originally introduced as bimetallic standard, where its value was pegged to silver and gold. With the introduction of the Gold Standard Act of 1900, dollar was linked to gold only. Under a pure gold standard, the government would stand ready to trade dollars for gold, at a fixed rate. Under such a monetary rule, it seems the dollar is as good as gold. In a gold standard system, a given amount of paper money can be converted into a fixed amount of gold. Countries on the gold standard can't increase the amount of paper money in circulation without increasing their reserves of gold. In 1920, Great Britain pound was world's reserve currency. After the World War I, US dollar gained prominence and started posing threats to pound's reserve currency status. During the World War I, Britain had to borrow funds to finance the war. US was primarily the lender. In fact, during that period, US became the largest economy surpassing UK. This all led to rise of US dollar as an alternative to pound. During the time of Great Depression, it was difficult to stimulate economy with monetary action, as dollar was pegged to gold. Rise in gold prices was creating deflationary conditions. In the year 1933, US deviated from the gold standard and depegged its currency from gold. However, with the arrival of Bretton Woods system in 1944, dollar was again pegged to gold and got its acceptance as international reserve currency. The Bretton Woods system was not gold standard in the purest form. As per the World Gold Council, under the system, dollar's value was fixed at the prevailing rate of USD 35 per ounce. Other currencies' value was adjusted accordingly. Since gold was valued in the US dollar term, the US dollar was accepted as an international reserve currency, and all other currencies was priced in terms of US dollar. Due to geopolitical reasons, and deterioration in balance of payments, on account of rise in competitiveness of European and Japanese exports, along with funding for Vietnam War, had put the US economy under pressure. During that period, dollar's supply in the market was much higher than the value of its gold holding. US understands that it cannot convert dollar to gold, if any central bank wants to convert. It had such precedent in 1960, when France converted their dollar holding to gold. Fearing inability of US to convert dollar into gold, in 1971, US President Nixon announced to abandon converting of dollar to gold, which marked the end of Bretton Woods' monetary system and opened a way to new monetary mechanism also known as fiat money. Under fiat currency monetary mechanism, government issues currency notes which are not backed by any commodity, such as gold, silver, etc. These are commitments of monetary authority, and implicitly backed by economic resources of a country. The value of currency is determined by demand and supply, rather by underlying value of commodity, like under gold standard. Most modern paper currencies are fiat currencies, including the US dollar, the euro, and other major global currencies. Since the adoption of Bretton Woods monetary system, US dollar was accepted as a reserve currency. The role of US dollar in the world economy is also supported by the size and strength of its economy, share of world trade, openness to trade, capital flows, and freely convertibility of currency. Though there are talks about de-dollarization and falling status of US dollar, it is an undisputed king in the monetary space. At present, there is no other credible alternative available for the dollar. This can be deciphered from different data points that we are going to discuss in coming slides. The first data point is US's share in world GDP versus US dollar's share as international reserve currency. As on December 2021, US's share in the world GDP is 24.8%, whereas its currency share as international reserve currency is 15.5%. The second data point is dollar's share as international reserve currency versus other major currencies' share. As on December 2021, if we compare reserve currency status of other major currencies with the US dollar, Euro's share is 20.6%, Japanese yens hold 5.9% share, GBP 4.7%, Chinese yuan's share is 2.4%, and rest of other currencies' share is 6.8%. In comparison, US has lion's share of 59.5%. That indicates its dominant position as an international reserve currency. The third data point is share of US dollar in export invoicing versus other global currencies' shares. If we analyze US dollar versus other currencies' share in trade invoicing, dollar's share is more than 70% of global trade invoicing. The fourth data point is share of US dollar in international banking system. In the international banking system, 60% of liabilities and claims are denominated in US dollar. This reflects the dominance of US dollar. The fifth and last data point in support of dominance of US dollar is its share in international currency usage. Dollar's share in global currency usage is 66.6%, whereas Euro's share is 24.3%, GBP 6.6%, JPY 8.5%, and Chinese yuan's share is 2.1%. This was the position as on the 31st of December 2021. All these data points indicate US dollar's hegemony in the international payment system and tell the story of undisputed king in monetary space. In the next section, we will discuss why some people think that US dollar's status is falling, despite there is no alternative available as on date. In support to US dollar's falling status, the first point is rising US fiscal deficit. US runs fiscal deficit of 6.20% of GDP, and which is rising. Growth slowdown and rise in interest cost will further increase the fiscal deficit. Second data point is financing of US fiscal deficit. US dollar is a world's reserve currency. Deficit run by the US is financed by emerging economies as it is considered as a safe haven assets. Further, countries across the globe are using dollar as a trading currency, and its share in invoicing is more than 70% of global trade. Hence, all countries maintain major part of their reserves in the form of investments in US dollar by investing in US treasuries. But we have seen faith in US currency is being deteriorated. Emerging countries' central banks are not increasing their investment in USD since 2012. They have maintained their investments in aggregate at 2012 levels. Third data point is holding structure of US government securities. Since US is running fiscal deficit, it is being financed by banks and monetized by the Fed. Moreover, central banks across the world are exploring alternatives to US dollar. This process has been accelerated after the sanction on the Russian central bank's assets by the US. Over the period, this will reduce the dominance of US dollar as a reserve currency. Fourth and last data point in support of the argument is increase in gold demand from central banks. As per reports by the World Gold Council, central banks are accumulating gold. As per the report, in the year 2022, share of gold demand from central banks has increased to 24% of total gold demand. In the year 2021, this share was 11%. All these factors are indicating falling status of US dollar as a safe haven currency. In the next section, we will understand the concept of de-dollarization and some recent announcement in support of de-dollarization. De-dollarization is a process to displace US dollar as a reserve and preferred currency for trade. Though there are talks since long time to reduce reliance on US dollar, the process has sped up after the US imposed sanctions on the Russian central bank's assets. After the onset of war between Russia and Ukraine, SWIFT mechanism was used to put sanctions on Russian entities. The world is now exploring payment mechanism, which is an alternative to US dollar. There are some recent announcements world over, which suggest that countries are exploring alternatives to de-dollarize their economies. On India's side, Indian government is promoting bilateral trade settlements in Indian rupees. 18 countries have already opened INR account for trade settlements. Russia and India agreed to use Asia-focused Dubai oil benchmark in the bilateral trade. On the China front, very recently there was a news of China is open to talk with Malaysia to form an Asian monetary fund to reduce US dollar dependence. China has settled its first yuan-denominated liquefied natural gas trade through the Shanghai Petroleum and Natural Gas Exchange. This is a very important event. US dollar is continuing to maintain its reserve currency status because it is a pricing currency for commodities and oil. If Saudi Arabia or other countries start pricing oil in currency other than US dollar, it will be a big blow to its reserve currency status. President Xi visited Russia and pledged to deepen its economic ties. Russian trade denominated in Chinese yuan is more than one-third of total Russian trade. In fact, Chinese yuan has surpassed US dollar to become the most traded currency in Russia. ASEAN finance ministers are meeting to discuss how the trade reliance on US dollar can be reduced. In South America, Brazil and Argentina are discussing Latin American currency to reduce reliance on US dollar. There is some news of Kenya to start buying oil with Kenyan shilling. All these announcements reflect seriousness and urgency to move trade away from the US dollar. Countries across the globe are exploring alternative mechanisms. So, does it mean that fall of US dollar imminent? In case of fall, what are the alternatives available for the world? Let's try to understand this in the next section. Can euro replace the dollar? Euro was considered as a contender to reduce dominance of US dollar. But due to lack of central control on monetary policies and architecture shortcomings of monetary union, euro could not pose a serious challenge to the dollar. Can Chinese yuan contain the dominance of US dollar and can be seen as an alternative? Presently, due to rise in economic strength and being largest trade partner in global trade, Chinese yuan is seen as one of the rising currencies. which has potential to replace the dollar as reserve currency. Presently, Chinese yuan's usage in international monetary system is around 5%, whereas US dollar's share is 66%. It will take very long time for Chinese yuan to present a serious threat to dollar's position. Is common block currency a better alternative? Some voices are being raised to float a block currency, for example, BRICS nation currency or Asian block currency. Block currency is better than individual currency, but we have seen challenges of block currency in the form of euro. Euro, which was touted as alternative to US dollar, could not live up to the expectations. Closing remarks on demise of USD. Dollar is a dominant currency and continue to be a dominant till new alternative emerges. Presently, there is dollar and nothing in between. Adoption of any other currency in the era of fiat monetary system will have same issues which are present with the dollar. Closing remarks on new monetary system. Economies need trust. How that trust can be built up. In the past, US has brought gold at the center and has institutionalized the dollar as reserve currency under the Bretton Woods monetary system. Dollar will die sooner or later. US is running fiscal deficit of 6.3%, and which is rising on account of higher interest rates as well as due to rising recessionary concerns. Moreover, emerging economies has not increased their investments in US Treasuries in aggregate since 2012. In fact, it is falling. Question is, who will finance US fiscal deficit? Presently, US Fed is monetizing the debts, but how long? Economists, central banks, and monetary experts need to discuss about how the trust can be brought back in the international monetary system. World needs new monetary system, which is backed by trust. So, here we wrap our discussion. Thank you for watching the video. Hope you liked the video. If you have any suggestion or feedback, you can reach us at info@sauceacademy.com or visit our website www.sauceacademy.com. You can also reach us through social media platform LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. To encourage us to share more videos, please subscribe to our channel. Thank you.